Welcome everyone to our annual meeting of the Residents Association, which is different from the regular meeting. So this is the annual meeting. This is a very, very important meeting. But before I say anything, I was reminded we need to have a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. And always the first thing on my agenda is we want to introduce new residents. And we've had two people who moved in, Mary Elena Ward and Jim Slack. Are they here? They didn't get the word. It's in the red book when you have to attend these meetings here, but I guess they didn't get the red book. Well, Mary and Jim, if wherever, oh, maybe they're, are you over here? You're not there. Well, if you run into Mary and Jim, please tell them that we missed them at the annual meeting and we expect to see them the next time we meet together. We have a visitor, I believe. We have Maurice and Elfie Fleiss. Is that correct? Please stand up and be recognized. These couple are wandering the halls today, trying to figure out whether this is the place they need to be. And for us, you need to be here. You have arrived, and we welcome you. And when you leave this meeting, please go in and see Kevin and sign the contract. Sign the contract. Just a few $1,000 will make you a potential member here. So we want to welcome you here.
Already signed.
Yeah, already. Well, we hope to see you next year in many of our meetings here. All right. I said this is the annual meeting, and if anybody's read the red book, I read it about 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. But I want to remember you, this is the red book. We all hear about it, but probably never have seen it since we first knew it. But the red book, everybody has a copy of the red book. And the red book says we will have an annual meeting once a year to conduct all the primary business of the association. The last time the red book was revised in 2019. So one of my goals, well, actually it was Diane's goal during her 2-year presidency, was to revise the red book. It took more than 2 years to do it. It took another 3 years. Anyway, the red book has been revised. And as you know, for the last couple of months, I've been telling you that we revised the bylaws and the overview. Those are the 2 sections of the red book that the residents have to agree upon and arrive at a consensus. And this has been out for over a month now. It's been on Katie. So everyone has had an opportunity to read the revised bylaws and overview. And so now, today, this morning, I am asking the residents for consensus and approving. We have an objection?
No. We have quorum.
I'm sorry?
We have quorum.
We have a quorum. We have a quorum. Because I'm counting this, counting all. We have a Sally, do we have a quorum? Shayla, does anybody ever think we don't have a quorum of our membership? A quorum has been declared. We have a quorum. Anyway, I need consensus. That means, are you raising your hand in consent?
Mr. Convener, I believe that we have reached a consensus and I therefore recommend that we approve it.
Do I have a second for this approval? No second? Oh, that's not allowed. We just need consensus here. Do I have consensus?
Yes.
The red book has been approved. And now it's up to the administration to get their part together. I understand Bridget tells me that they have revised the administration's part of the red book. And so it'll all be put on Katie within the next week or so. Once it's on Katie, they will produce 3 hard copies. You will no longer receive a hard copy of the Red Book. But you can, so once it's on Katie, you can go to Katie to read whatever you want on the Red Book, but there'll be 3 hard copies. One will be in the library, one will be in Brittany's office, and one will be in the boarding center. Those are 3 places.
Clinic.
Not the board, the clinic. That makes more sense than the boarding center. Okay, so Brittany and Danielle will have a hard copy, and the other copy will be in the library for those people who do not want to read it on Katie or not able to read on Katie. We will not issue hard copies like we did in the past. That's too much work, too much paper, and it's not worth the effort. But Stephanie said that during the next month or so, she will produce on Katie the different sections of the Red Book. So you can, she will send out sections by email so that if you want to print out your own copy, you can do that over the next several months. So that's how we're going to operate. Anybody have any questions on? Oh, we have questions. Yes, Ruth.
Could you describe for us the consultation process between management and the residents council for purposes of management revising its component of the Red Book?
The Red Book, there's 2 parts, there's many parts of the Red Book. Most of them, the residents are responsible for developing the bylaws and the overview. But the rest of it deals with how the administration conducts business here. So they are responsible for updating that. That includes, well, can you discuss what's?
I understand that. My question, I reduced it to a binary answer, yes or no. Was there consultation between management and the residents council as management revised its part of the Red Book?
We discussed.
So when Paul gave us the Red Book and said it was time to revise it, Brittany and a group of staff members actually went through and did that. There were a couple times in the residents council meeting that I talked a little bit about what we were doing and what we were revising, but specific revisions, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Easy answer. All right. The next thing we have is the new council members for 2023. And Diane, being head of the nominating committee, is asked to come forward to conduct that part of our business.
According to the bylaws, the residents council appointed a nominating committee, and it includes some people that have had experience on the residents council, because it helps them to have an idea of what it is that we're looking at. So the current council, Paul, did you want them to come up?
Yes, could the current council step forward? Are they here? Please come forward. The current council. Ed, where is Ed? Ed's not here.
It's not here.
How about we have a quorum of the council?
Okay, you want to tell what the current council positions are?
Well, we have my treasurer, Linda,
Kramer,
my secretary, Suetta,
Harrison,
member at large, Beck,
Stackpole,
and member at large, Doreen.
Wilson,
Those
Logan.
are those. We are missing Ed Baum, the vice president. And we're also missing Margaret Fletcher, a member at large. And who else? That's it. That's it for the present council.
All right, now these people, some of them can serve a second term. Ed Baum was chosen last year to serve as vice president, but the term was only 1 year. So Ed could not be renominated, could have been, I guess, as vice president. But instead, Ed said he'd rather be a member at large. So the name that we're putting forward for the member at large position is Ed Baum. And for vice president to do that role, we're asking Lee Henkel to become the nominee for the vice president slot for a 2-year term. Lee, would you come up, please?
Come on up. Over here.
So this is the slate of officers and members at large for the 2023 Residents Council. Oh, I'm sorry, Linda Dwyer. As the other at large. Linda, you should put your hand up. You didn't know you'd have to come up.
No, I didn't.
So now, except for Ed, we have the slate for next year, and Paul, we hope that the membership approves.
First, I want to thank Meg. She's completed her 2-year tour here. So she's going to step down for at least another year or so because you can't stay on for more than 2 years. But that does not necessarily mean you can't come back after another year, which Doreen did. She served already a year and she was out on vacation for a year and she was brought back. So just remember that you can always come back to the council. So I want to thank Meg. Please thank Meg for her service here. And I also want to thank Margaret Fletcher, who obviously has already stepped out. But Margaret will continue her work as head of the movie selection committee, or a one-person committee. So she'll continue doing that for the next year or 2, 3 or 4 years, hopefully. So anyway, this is what we have. This is what you're gonna ask for your consensus. Do we have consensus that this is the council that's gonna lead you forward into 2023? Thank you very much. No raise in salary, however, thank you very much for serving next year.
You neglected to say whether you're gonna serve for another year.
You're serving again.
Yeah.
Get over your shyness first.
I also want to thank Karen, the other members of the nominating committee, Karen Russell, Carol Lee Chamberlain, Robin Potter, and Marty Fisher, and for serving on the nominating committee. It was really delightful. We had so many good names put forward, so we're very pleased with this. And also, Paul, I read the Red Book bylaws. If they've served 4 years, they can't come back on council.
Is that right, Sally?
Unless you change it, you can.
So you
It's her
Doreen
report.
has served a lot of years, so just, check the Red Book every now and then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to get into the normal business. We've just concluded all the important annual meeting business. And so please welcome back Jan, our CEO, back from her wherever she was. And thank you for coming today. Oh, Paul.
I'm back. So sorry I had to miss the last 2, but I heard there was some fun had while I was gone. Our comedian leader, I'm sure had some fun with me not being present. So, but I'm back and it's good to be back. I was not in Acapulco. So good morning, Zoom land. The third draft of the 2023 operational capital budgets went to the Finance Committee on Wednesday, November 2nd, and they were approved. So we will be taking the next step for approval. It will be presented to our full board this Thursday, tomorrow, November 17th. And we are hopeful that we will see full approval of the operational and capital budgets for next year. We are developing a document, and Jessica, thank you so much for your help with that. similar to what we did last year, that will tell you and lay out the whys of the budget and explain to you a little bit more about that process. We will also be presenting, Felicia and I will be presenting the budget details on Wednesday, December 7th. So right here in this room at 11 o'clock. We really would like to see everyone present for that presentation, and it'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. Workforce shortages, compensation and benefits, inflation, supply chain issues, and the new consumer are all current and future challenges for this industry as a whole. So you'll be hearing a bit more about that. Shark Tank competition. Who was there yesterday? Thank you for supporting the staff. What a great event. It was an opportunity for the staff to come together and share their ideas. So we've been trying to get staff to share ideas about what they want to see, and have not been real successful at that. On occasion, we'll get somebody brave enough to come and talk to us. But this was really an opportunity for them to come. They came up in front of the residents. They were not shy. It was an awesome afternoon. There were 8 ideas that were presented, and all were well thought out and really, in my mind, within a reasonable budget. So we have $10,000 from a Kendall Corp grant that we can make either a single idea or multiple ideas come to fruition. So those folks came, they presented in front of a panel of shark judges. And if you are not familiar with that, that's a TV show. It's called Shark Tank. And it came out of our recruitment and retention. So we're just trying to think outside the box, how we get folks to speak up. And so the results the group already met, the judges, they've come to a conclusion, or conclusions, maybe I should say. And Felicia and I are meeting with them this afternoon, so you'll be hearing more about that by the end of the week. So I've received a couple of letters, and I've also heard some comments about the incident of mold in Isabel's Cottage. And Isabel's Cottage, for all of you, is right back here. And there are always 2 or 3 sides to every story. And I've always made it my policy to respect the confidentiality of residents and staff. In this particular case, some abrasive comments and assumptions have been made about staff and management. Although I plan to stick to my policy, I do feel that I need to protect staff's integrity as well. So I'm going to share some comments with you about that mold incident. In late July, we contracted a mold expert to come and assess the situation in Isabel's Cottage. Within a couple of days, we received a report, and he identified 2 types of mold growth, of which neither were black mold. I have heard that many were told it was black mold. I can guarantee you it was not. I lived in Florida for 4 years. I'm very familiar with black mold. Both molds were a result of excessive humidity, per the opinion of the consultant. A recommendation was made to relocate the resident, and we were able to do so quickly. We then brought in 2 mold remediation companies to give us an estimate on moving forward with cleaning the residents' belongings. Both did their remediation a little differently, and we felt that this would allow both the resident and their family some options. As you can imagine, this was quite traumatic for the resident, and we were well aware of that. Staff members, Brittany, Danielle, Felicia, Todd, Jessica, Jan, and others worked closely with the resident and family. We wanted things to move much quicker in order to get the resident's belongings into her possession. But each time we tried, the resident would delay the process. We could have pushed the process along, but we wanted the resident to be the one in charge. We offered many options, as did the family, to make this less traumatic. The resident was not prohibited from entering the cottage and was encouraged many times to help us determine next steps with her belongings. Although there is more I can say, I will not. I assure you that I take my responsibility of your health and well-being very seriously, as does the staff. This resident was beloved by many, including the staff that had the honor of serving her during her years at Kendall and Lexington. So if you have any further questions, please come see me directly, and I will be glad to speak with you. And on a little lighter note, my husband, Rich, and I would like to invite you to come by Kendall Hall on Thanksgiving morning from 9 to 11 for scones and cider. Yes, my husband does actually exist. And this will be a great opportunity for him to meet many of you, because I talk about many of you at the dinner table. So, and you can be sure to have the parade on so that you don't miss that. So you have no excuses, 9 to 11. The famous scones and cider will be here in Kendall Hall. So we hope to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. And now Todd, please step forward.
Good morning. I think if I come by between 9 and 11 on Thanksgiving, I might borrow someone else's name tag. Just I'm a little afraid what the dining room table conversations might have been at home. So good morning, everybody. I'll give you a quick update on some of our facilities and maintenance efforts so far. I'll tell you the number one thing we're trying to work on right now is our seasonal preparations, right? We had some warm weather, and we had some cold weather, and then we had some warm weather again. And obviously that is difficult with our HVAC systems, but we're working very hard to make sure that they're all functioning, that our snow blowers and our other winter equipment is ready to go, because we will be needing it. Yesterday at my house, it got down to 32.2. And I kept looking outside, looking at the sidewalk, looking at my snow stuff, looking outside, but I didn't need it yet. But we know that's going to come. So Will and the team are working very hard to make sure we're set to keep Kendall functioning and safe for y'all as the weather changes for us. There are a lot of projects underway. I have updates on some of them. I'm only going to talk about the ones that I have meaningful updates to share, rather than go down a long list and say nothing much since last time. But the list I'm about to go over is not everything we're working on. It's just everything I have progress to report on so far. Hopefully most of you noticed it. The storage shed was delivered since our last back employee parking lot inside the dumpster fence. That is in, and some of the materials have been moved inside it. Really the only outstanding work on that project is connecting it to power. So Jennifer has lights and an exhaust fan in there to store her materials. Right now, I've given her a little headlamp to use in there. She didn't seem that excited about that option, so she's anxious for us to connect it to power soon. A lot of the carts and trailers and snow blades and things that are currently in that parking lot will be getting moved inside the fence. So as soon as we're ready, we'll be doing that. We don't want to do that on soaking wet ground and rut everything up. We'll be moving that to clear out some of that mess that will be behind the fence. The repairs to Sunnyside Porch, in case you've been over there, that side porch is in need of some attention. The repairs for that are funded, approved, and scheduled for work by a contractor sometime between 29 November and 13 December. Has been many, many weeks in the waiting list with them, but that is the norm for a lot of our contractors. The same contractor is going to do some repairs to the Cox Hall entrance doors. You may have seen some Band-Aids out there on the roofing, but we have a real repair coming in just a few weeks, hopefully. The dog park has some in-house upgrades still in progress, but it is the outside contractor effort is done for phase one, and I'm just waiting on the availability of some materials for us to put up some additional protective screening and some other minor in-house improvements down there that we'll be doing. The window cleaning contractor is scheduled to finish today. He's here working. We lost about a week on the schedule due to some bad weather, but generally he's done a good job showing up and keeping us appraised. And this morning when I talked to him, he says if things go well, we'll be wrapping up by the end of the day today. We do have 7 emergency roof repairs scheduled. They were supposed to be here the first week in November. I think they're using the Mayan calendar or something, because that contractor hasn't showed or given me an updated reschedule. but I am coordinating with them weekly to say, hey, we really need this before the winter comes, so when are you showing up? So we're staying on top of that. Major tree and other planting effort wrapped up. About 6 new trees and shrubs and grasses and things went in. A little bit of cleanup to be done on that, but the major install is done. The giant pile of trees waiting to find homes is actually in their homes, and it's rained 2 or 3 times since then, which is, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a successful planting, and we'll know in the spring. The deer calling effort to reduce the damage from the deer began this morning. Some of you may have seen the email, and I put some signs out on the bulletin boards as well. And then we put some signs out in the actual area where that's done. The first harvest was this morning, actually 2 were this morning. So it was out there an hour and already has something to show for it, which is good news, I think, for that. The employee lounge was mentioned several times during Shark Tank. For those of you who were there yesterday, I think all but like 1 or 2 of the ideas were kind of laying claim to some of the square footage in there. So the reestablishment of an open employee lounge is on our list. And right now we're kind of in the survey conceptual design phase of that. So the initial progress on that is just beginning. You may have seen me out in the rain. Hopefully you could tell what I was saying if you're having a lip reader. Trying to replace 3 very faded unserviceable road signs the other day. So those were brought to my attention by an observant resident. So if you see something like that, please let Kathy or me know, and we'll try to put it on the list. Some of these were faded very badly, and that's a safety issue. So we're just trying to kind of get around and get those things fixed as we see them. Some interior wayfinding signage for the main building here. Those are approved, funded, and on order, but they're not here yet. Not an excessive amount of signage, because no one wants to feel like they live in a Lowe's aisle with signs every 2 feet for things. But generally to help visitors or outside support people find their way and know where the apartments are, know where the dining room is and things like that. So about a dozen wayfinding signs going to be replaced or added in there as soon as they come in. Some of you may have seen a group of students up near the entrance to the right as you come in several times in the last few weeks. That is a Washington and Lee University engineering team that, as per their capstone project this year, is doing an engineering study on the Guernsey Pond, which is an element of the 3 North plan that was in there. They are not bulldozing anything. They're not building a pond. They're doing a study to assess the conceptual feasibility of it. So you may see some flags in the ground where they're measuring where utilities are. They're evaluating what the soil structure is, how far down the bedrock is. They're doing all the free engineering work for us, so then we can make a good decision on what we can do and what we can't do in support of that long-term 3 North plan. I have a 3rd solar company coming later today, actually, to do a site visit for us. There's been some interest in that from various residents and committees like the Facilities and the Sustainability Committee. The first company that came before I was here kind of did a hard pass because we are not a good match for what they do. We did get an initial design concept and proposal from a second company that I would describe as probably neutral, not a slam dunk, that it's an absolutely great thing that we should do, but not something that we're inappropriate to do either. It was very middle of the road. So we're seeking a second opinion. So we have another local solar company I'll be working with today to say, this is who we are, this is where we are. Is there a good way to do this? And we'll let the smart people make some recommendations to me. There are some fence repairs to the fences outside of Gordon that are funded and approved and scheduled soon for repair. So you may see some people trying to fix some gates and just cosmetic and serviceability functions out there as a small project soon. And I've actually been able to put a little bit of time into some energy analysis and some initial movement on our preventive maintenance program, because those long-term things are really going to pay off, I think, for the viability of how we do business in the long term. You know, every month I try to go down a list of the kind of start to finish projects we're knocking out, but there are a lot of long-term sustainability oriented efforts that are important, and I've actually started putting a little bit of time on them. I don't have great charts and graphs to show you that, but I might have in the future. Okay, so that's my list. Thank you all.
Todd, did anybody have any questions for Todd before he leaves the podium? I understand last month you all mobbed him right after the meeting. We don't want that to happen again, so either Todd's gonna sneak out before the end of the meeting, so he doesn't get mobbed, or please ask your questions now. We have questions in the back, okay?
Is the solar concern about solar panels for energy or solar tubes for lighting in residence?
It's solar panels for energy. All right, that was an easy question. Thank you.
There goes Todd, we only see him. All right, Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. Jessica from marketing. Kevin's here with me. Katie is on a call. We are busy this week. We've been for months. We're converting our entire database to a new system. So we have thousands of people in our database that mostly Katie and Kevin do an amazing job staying in contact with, and that we all communicate to very often. And it's all of our notes about everyone and who's on the wait list and what floor plan they want, what timing they want. So we are getting a new database for that. So far it's going very smoothly, and we love our new system. It's a much more modern platform. But this just started on Monday, so that's a big deal. Occupancy still going strong. Our actual occupancy right now is 95.3, 99.3 occupied or reserved. That means we have 8 apartments and cottages that are open now that are spoken for. But we have 1 apartment that just came to us last Thursday, and we're just starting to make the calls on that 1 apartment. By the end of the year, we know we're getting another apartment. By the end of January, we're gonna get another apartment and a cluster cottage. And then we have some internal move requests that would open up additional cottages. So we anticipate a lot of transitions. Typically, since I've been here, lots of transitions at the end and beginning of the year. And I've asked people to space it out over the 12 months, but yeah, it all happens all at once. But that's okay, because we have a great wait list. So let Kevin come on over. And give his report.
Good morning. Hello, everybody in Zoom. I'll tell you about tours and try-its, and I wish Katie was here to talk about it because most of these were hers. But we had a total of 9 tours and try-its since the last Residents Association meeting, and they're spread out from lots of places. We had folks from Homewood, Alabama, Potomac, Maryland, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, Grantham, New Hampshire, Ocean View, Delaware, and then 3 from Virginia, Reston, Virginia. Those folks are in the room right now. Hot Springs, Virginia, and Rona. I think the Rona person or people are here right now as well. And then try additional members to the wait list. Since the last Residents Association meeting, 5 new waitlist members, some couples, some singles. That brings us to 51 year to date, 169 total. I think last month it was close to 180, but as we move people in, then they leave the wait list. So that number, fluctuates up and down. Of the 169, I think if the new customer relationship management system is correct, 39 of them are on the ready list. So yeah, as places open up, it's not going to take us long to find new residents to go into them, because there's a lot of people that want to live here. That is all. Thank you.
Very much. And now next we have Brittany to give us an update. Now, Brittany is our interface with the administration. She is the Resident Services Coordinator. If you have any questions about who to see, who to talk to, I have a question, I just don't know the answer, Brittany is the person you go to. If you talk to your neighbor and your neighbor doesn't know who to talk to or where to go, you come to Brittany. if you talk to any other staff member, they say, I don't know what the answer is, you come to Brittany. That's why she's here. She is the resident, that's us, services, performing all services for the residents coordinator. She doesn't answer all your questions, but she knows where to send you. Either back home or to the right person. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And so to go with that, if you're not sure where my office is, I'm kind of tucked away in between the US postal mailboxes and your in-house mailboxes. So there's a little door there kind of tucked away. So that's where you could find me. Just a few updates or reminders. Earlier this week, I sent out an reminder invitation. We have a dementia caregiver support group for Kendall residents specifically that meets once a month, and that meeting is being held this Friday at 10 a.m. in the staff development room. So if you feel that group may be beneficial for you, we open an invitation to you for that. On Tuesday, November 29th at 4 p.m. here in Kendall Hall, Danielle and I, along with Ashley, the marketing and admissions coordinator for the Borden and Webster Centers, we will be having a presentation on transitions through the continuum. This is where that email I sent out a week or so ago that caused a lot more confusion than I anticipated comes from. We had communicated that to some residents. We were going to be having this education, but it didn't get put out in email or postage up. So we rescheduled for the 29th. And so we're just going to talk about what prompts a transition through the continuum, what services are provided in the Borden Center, the Webster Center, what services may be able to be offered within your home. So we hope that you all will join us for that at 4 p.m. that day. And to follow up from the emergency response education that we did a month ago, after that, we received a lot of really great feedback of information that might need to be included in that presentation or might be beneficial for folks, including where are some of the emergency pull cords located, where are certain signage, things like that. So we're actually, before we send that out to you all, revamping that presentation. It will still include all of the information, but we're adding several slides with that information that was requested. So there will be photos. So that will be coming to you all very soon. We're just trying to tweak that and make it a little easier on your eyes. We know that they were not very presentation friendly, the slides. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Brittany. And next we have Alfredo. Oh, I'm sorry, Judy's gonna talk. Alfredo still speaks Italian. He's learning English, but he isn't quite ready for a presentation here. So Judy's gonna cover for Alfredo.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zoom. How you doing? Update for dining. We are set and ready to go for Thanksgiving. We have full boat at 11:30 and 1:30. If you still have not reserved your seating, I have tray tables at home that I can bring. I think there's some folding chairs around here, but looks like we're good and ready to go. Right now, the outstanding item is the pumpkin cheesecake, which we ordered in October. Has not arrived yet. So worst case scenario, we'll have cheesecake and I'll be stamping pumpkins to make the pumpkin cheesecake. Updates with dining. Restaurant is still on hold due to staffing. I know you're all going to ask me about that. We're looking at opening a couple nights in January. That's going to be our goal. And our main update is the grocery list. So food committee met last Wednesday and gave me permission to delete a couple of items that were added on for COVID. Those include bread, which not many people purchase, the deli meats, hang on, I need my glasses. The meat and vegetable lasagna, and there were no changes in charges, no fees went up. But you'll see these small wines, they come in a 4-pack. Instead of just ordering one, we did 4 for 16 because it was 1 for 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So everything remains the same. I'm going to put this out with this week's menu, as we have not received any orders yet for December. And it will have a due date on it, and it'll have a revision date on it of today. So if you can toss all of your other grocery lists and just deal with the one that's being updated today, that would be a wonderful thing. In the meantime, if you are having a large party or something and you do need one of the existing item on the lists, if I have it, I will certainly sell it to you. We're gonna have to do some legwork to get the pricing right as the pricing fluctuates. But I'll certainly work with you to get any needs met. Does anybody have any questions? Wow, I'm out of here. Here, take this microphone quick.
Now, with my poor hearing, did I hear you say the restaurant will be open for 2 days in January? Did I hear correctly?
That's the goal.
What is a goal? Does that mean they'll be open for 2 days in January?
That's the goal. We gotta get it into the net to get the goal. We're working on the net.
Now, obviously, you heard the biggest problem was hiring staff. If anybody here has any experience in serving in the past, Judy is welcome to accept your application to get her goal a reality. Good luck. All right, next up, we have an update from Wick on the 3 North Committee.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning. The 3 North Committee is just coming up on its 1-year mark. So I'd like to give you a brief update and forecast as much as I can for the future. Give you a little reminder of where the committee came from. Last December, Kendall received the master plan for land use and landscape from the Richmond architect company, 3 North. And in February of this year, the 3 North Committee was convened to select portions of that master plan and implement them. Unlike other committees at Kendall, this is a joint committee consisting of representatives from the board of directors, Jan and her management team, and residents. And the committee plays a planning and coordinating role. As I go down all the projects and everything, you'll see that the real work here is accomplished by Todd and his facilities crews and his contractors, Felicia and the finance team, various committees from the Residents Association, particularly horticulture, wellness, sustainability, and the dog owners group. We get a lot of input, suggestions, and concerns from individual residents as well. And that's always welcome and essential for what we're doing. And I might add, because we're looking at our outdoor spaces, the most important player of all is probably Mother Nature. So that's what the committee consists of. And we've spent this year getting ourselves organized and getting started with the task. What we've managed to accomplish this year so far, Hickory Hill, right out the window there, has gone from being a slag heap left over from phase 3 construction to being covered with mixed grasses, wildflowers, and trees. We've been able to establish 3 walking paths up and around the hill with rest benches and new shade trees and 2 picnic tables on top. As Todd mentioned, the dog park. The fencing is completed and the park is in use, daily use. Todd also mentioned the work and storage area by lot 8 behind Webster. That unsightly dumpster is now inside the privacy fence on a concrete pad. The maintenance shed is in place, and that whole area already looks much better. So that was a early suggestion from many residents, and one area that we've made a lot of progress with. Ford and Webster and the Anderson deck have also been dressed up considerably with flower planters and, except for Anderson deck, some trees. Now, where this is all going for the future. This is definitely a multi-year project. Nobody thinks it could be accomplished in this 1 year we've had so far, nor in the next 2 or 3 years even. It may go out 4 or 5 years, nobody knows. All the projects that I just mentioned will continue to be improved next year. There are further seeding that's needed on Hickory Hill, some bald spots. The dog park will be built out by the dog owners themselves, and so on with all those projects. New on the horizon for this year, coming year, and I have to add, with no decisions or funding yet made, but just coming in over the horizon, are a proposed pavilion on top of Hickory Hill to make that spectacular place usable in more weather and for more purposes. Kendall Park, that wonderful flat spot that used to be Nielsen Village. We need to find out the very best uses of that area that will serve residents the best. And that's going to be a subject of study this winter. Managing our grasslands. Right now, we have a mixture of the lawns that surround our buildings and houses, closely mown, of course. We have meadows, less cared for, better for wildlife habitat, such as the meadow stretching down to Ross Road and the creek. And then we have areas coming in of native grasses and wildflowers, which we've started trying to cultivate last spring, and we have more work to do in the future. And the committee is going to be taking a look at exactly how to define which areas will be in which kinds of grasses, the mowing requirements, the other treatment requirements, such as fertilization and whatnot. Todd mentioned the study for Guernsey Pond. I don't have much to add, except to reemphasize that what's going on now is the feasibility study to see if a pond could even be there, and if so, what would be the expected problems and expenses. And only after we get that will we start considering whether this is something that would serve us well on campus. So we have a busy winter planning coming up. I think a busy and exciting year moving forward next year. And Paul, I think I still have a couple of minutes if we have time for questions. Not a single question.
Where does the money come from?
The money is allocated from the, help me out here, Jan, is it the operating budget or the capital budget? From the capital budget. And we don't yet know for this coming year what that's going to be. As Jan mentioned, those that's still going to the board, and then how much will be devoted to the 3 North will be decided after that.
To fulfill the goals.
Exactly. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. That was a very thorough presentation of the work of the 3 North Committee. And just so you know that we were allocated $50,000 this year to the 3 North Committee, and they haven't spent it all, but they spent a good portion of it to accomplish some of the projects that he just talked about. And so the committee is hoping to get a similar type of allocation next year. We'll all be here for the Felicia's presentation on December 7th to find out how much money the 3 North Committee will be getting And we'll also try to find out what fees we'll have to pay next year. That's probably of even primary importance to us. I also want to mention the dog park. You do not have to own a dog to visit the dog park. Please go down there and look at this new facility we have here, the fencing and there, I understand dogs are already present there, even though the dog park has not been completely completed yet. It's gonna be an ongoing thing.
Every day.
Every day there's no new dogs down there, so if you're interested in adopting a dog, you wanna see which dogs interact with other dogs, or just wanna be entertained for a few hours, please walk down to the dog park and first find out where it is and visit them. I'm sure the dogs will appreciate your attendance to them, so. All right, next up we have Ruth. Ruth is going to talk about the upcoming holiday arts and craft fair. I think it's the second annual or the third or fourth? Third annual.
Yes, this is coming up is the third.
Close to your mouth.
Coming up is the third annual Kendall Holiday Arts and Crafts Fair. And we have.
Keep it up to your mouth.
16, we have 16 vendors. And so I would like all of the vendors to come up, please, come up. And while they're coming up, I just want to say to you that this is a special event because it showcases the arts and crafts, loves and talents of our residents, staff, and board. And what makes it really special is that only residents, staff, and board may participate, highlighting all the talented folks that Kendall has. I'd like to give a big thank you to Jessica Bueller, our marketing director, who has been just tremendous in her support of our group as a whole, and to each of us individually in creating and producing advertising. So thank you very much, Jessica. First, I would like to introduce the working group that is producing this fine fair. And by the way, they are all also vendors. Please raise your hand. Jo McMurtry. She has framed original sketches. Diane Herrick has quilted table runners. Please hold your things up. These are samples, obviously. Meg Stackpole, German paper stars and cookies, which she doesn't have any cookies yet. And myself, I have hand-woven purses, scarves, cowls, and huemas and vests. And here are the vendors and the items that they have made with their very own hands. Nelson Potter has carved birds. Nelson's over there. Pam Adams is oil and watercolors. Becky Edmondson, who's not here, is going to have jams, pickles, and dried herbs. Cleve Hickman is going to have handcrafted cutting boards. Ted Burrows, who is also not here, is going to have note cards printed on demand. Ann Tatum Smith, a staff member, is going to have original paintings, wood burn pictures. Jim Naylor, who also is not here, is going to have woodworking items. John Winfrey has note cards and small paintings. Dennis Bussey has Apple Academy products.
You're supposed to be up here.
Dennis Bussey, where are you? Way back there. Okay. Jeffrey Berg, photographs. Nancy Ruley, felted bags, yarn necklaces, and beaded necklaces. Right. And Mandy McClomas, who is a staff person, wooden primitive decor. Because of COVID, we were not able to open to the public in the last 2 years, but we are going to open this year. The public is invited. Anyone not vaccinated, though, must wear a mask. And this is how we're going to get the word out. We have ads that are bigger than this. But this size is in your mail box right now. So you can see what is available for ads. Diane Herrick is going to take ads like this to Main Street and put in various stores. And I know that will create a buzz. And Jessica is creating a buzz on social media with invitations to the fair. We'd love to have your help in spreading the word about the fair, please. And this is how you can help. Jessica will be sending you a colorful email that you can forward to family and friends. So we'd love for you to invite your family and friends and be sure to come yourself. Kendall, and I just wanted you all to know that Kendall Hall has been reserved for next year's Arts and Crafts Fair already. So this is December 1st and 2nd, 2023. And so I want you to think about being a vendor yourself with your arts and crafts backgrounds. Thank you all for your support.
You notice that I was not introduced as one of the vendors because I have no talent at all. But anyway, but I went there last year and there's a lot of good stuff to buy. They did an excellent program last year and hopefully we'll have to be successful again this coming year. Next up, we have Kay. Is Kay? Where's Kay? Kay gives an update on the culture and entertainment section of
I'll
our.
be as quick as I can because we're running out of time.
No, we have plenty of time here. Lunch is not until noon.
I promise not to be that long. CNE has had a very good month with no challenges. Tomorrow night, we will have a bus going to Washington and Lee for a production of Firsts. And on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, the activities director of Webster and Borden is bringing the Rockbridge Ballet to Kendall Hall right here tomorrow morning, not tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. All are invited to see excerpts from the Nutcracker. Our very own resident, Cinder Stanton, who is an expert on the Hemmings family of Monticello, will give a not to be missed talk on the Hemmings family at 4:30 on Wednesday, November 30th. If you're not writing down these dates, they will appear different places around, so you can find them. Oh dear, it's stuck. Somebody who knows something about computers. Help me. Oh dear. Well, I guess you're just gonna have to read the rest of my report because I can't bring it up and I couldn't work my printer this morning. So that's it for now. I'm sorry.
Technology wins again. Thank you, Kay. And next up is Hardin. Give us a brief update on Kendall College. And Hardin decided to show up this time, even though he was missing last month. But thanks for coming.
Good morning, everyone. My apologies for last month. I've told a lot of people over the years that if you live at Kendall, I forgot is always a good excuse. This afternoon at 4:30, Kendall College presents the final lecture of its current series on U.S. intelligence. The lecture will be given by Professor Seth Canny of Washington and Lee's Politics Department, and his specific area of discussion this afternoon will be on intelligence analysis. Judging from the first two lectures, the last 2 weeks, which have been outstanding, you should not miss this, even if you missed either of the first two, and I encourage you to be here. This is not only the last lecture in this series, but it's the last program we're presenting for this calendar year, and we're starting to work on Kendall College programs for 2023. We have some suggestions that we are working with as a committee. And it probably has been said before, but let me encourage you residents, if you have suggestions or ideas for us, either as to a particular program or a particular speaker, please let somebody on the committee know what your suggestion is. And the committee members, just so you know them, you may not know them all, but you just have to give it to one. In addition to me, Ruth Woodcock, Linda Dwyer, Bob Gettings, Deirdre McAfee, Lad Sessions, and Don Thomas. And we hope we'll have as good a selection for you next year as we did this year. Thank you very much.
In saying that if you attend all the Kendall College's lectures over the years, you get 3 college credits each year. And if you attend over a 20-year period, you get a Bachelor of Arts degree from Washington University to add to your other degrees you had. So if you're looking for another degree, just show up and attend these college lectures. They're very educational, and I think they're very well received. You know, being the annual meeting, that means we can go over the 1 hour time slot because I'm the next one on the list here. So anyway, I forgot to ask, are there any residents that this is their first meeting? No, you've been here before. Good, I'm glad this is not the first meeting of current residents. The Staff Appreciation Fund, that's what we're soliciting donations from our residents for our staff. This happens twice a year, so this is gonna go until December 5th. As of today, we have received $59,737, which is a good chunk of money. However, our goal is $100,000. So obviously we have a long way to go to reach the $100,000 goal. As I said, last time we collected over 90,000. So reaching 100,000 shouldn't be that difficult. So I want to remind people, if you have not yet written a check to Kendall for the Staff Appreciation Fund, I would ask that you consider doing that today, this afternoon, before you forget. Because it's important that we give, because the deadline is December 5th, which is only a few weeks away. So we have a long way to go to reach our goal. And obviously, as I said last month, this is a very important collection to tell our staff our appreciation, because we do not tip them during the year. We do not give them any money for all their services to us. But you know, when we go out to a restaurant, you tip every time you go out for dinner. When you get a haircut, you tip. You know, tipping is a tradition in the American system, but we do not have that tradition here on a regular basis. So twice a year, we ask people to consider making a substantial contribution so that we can give all the staff a part of our donations to show our appreciation for them. So the next thing you have received in your mailboxes, a committee sign-up form. Now, we require all residents to sign up. We're asking all residents, we can't require, we're pleading with residents to please sign up and join one of the standing committees or interest groups that we have here at Kendall. We have 12 standing committees. One of them probably should perk your interest. And we ask you to decide which committee you would like to join and participate in next year. And we ask everybody that even though you're a member of the committee, that you have to sign up again to rejoin the committee. So it's not just picking a new committee, which you can do, but also to rejoin. So please fill out, we want everyone to fill out that form and decide which committees you want to participate in next year. Also, on December 5th, we're going to decorate for Christmas. Now, the Furnishings Interior Committee is responsible for decorating Kendall Hall and the dining room. But obviously, we only have about 5 members of that committee, very small committee. So we need volunteers to help us decorate on December 5th. So we ask if you would like to volunteer that day, starting at 9 o'clock, that you show up on, it's Wednesday, and find me, I'll be there. It's what? It's not December 5th then. What is December? December 5th is, that was for the staff appreciation fund. December 7th, Wednesday, is when we're gonna decorate Kendall Hall. And so if you want to also help us out and volunteer in one of the areas, either trimming the Christmas tree or laying out the candles on the windows or going to the dining room to hanging all the Christmas decorations on the wall, please show up at 9 o'clock and look for me and I'll assign you to one of those areas there. So hopefully you'll put that on your calendar.
Was that 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock?
It's 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Also, there will, generally, we do not have a December association meeting. Because if we met in December, it would be December 21st, and we know nobody would show up. Because you'd be off shopping or with your family. So there will be no meeting next month. So thank you very much for your time, for being here today, and for all the momentous decisions we made here at our annual meeting. And Merry Christmas to everyone today. I'll see you in January.